Oh.
We are
I'm
now
hoping
live.
I'm hoping not to take that long. We may lose Mackenzie, but
Well, if we have to negotiate.
So, Lisa, how do you want to do this? Do you want us? I mean, because it says we need two.
Right.
Should we just go ahead and create our own somewhere else and maybe just mute you guys,
Yeah.
turn it off, like disconnect from you guys, and then we'll create our own?
That's fine.
Okay.
And then she'll add us back into hers.
Well, you guys
Or-
can come and go on mine because I could come and go on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can leave mine and then enter back in.
Okay.
So because like if you've ever been to the professor's, Brother Bonnie's thing, where you drop off, you can still reconnect. That's what this is. You can still reconnect back.
Gotcha. Keenan, I told her that you're sending the link to her BYUI email.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
Or I did a minute ago.
So Keenan, really quick, we're gonna go over. Do we need to go over the 78?
No, it's again, that's what was confusing. I mean, there was so much information for me. It seemed like
we're only going to do the 83 and then the 85.
Yeah. So we're going to go over we're going to negotiate for 83. I guess going over everything. You're going to talk to we're both going to get our sides or our cover or our bases covered, and then we're going to negotiate 83. And then we're going to go back in. Once we get that done, I guess we'll disseminate that information. We'll quickly review on each side what our 85 strategy is, and then we'll get together and put that together so we have the notes together and have that contract created. I figured I would just
Okay, there she is. Woohoo!
Woo! Yay!
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
We've only been live for a couple minutes here, so it's just been kind of a get ready,
Trying
set,
to get it figured out.
and try to get it figured out.
But I now know how to do it. Yes.
Yay! now we have to now we have to disconnect from you and create our own group. So
do you want to meet in like 15 minutes then?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and meet.
Do you want to just come back onto mine, or because you're already hooked into mine, and we can negotiate back and forth on this one?
Yeah, let's do that.
That's
that makes it easier.
So okay.
All right, Keenan, do you want to start ours, or do you want me to, or what do you want to? Or Mackenzie, or?
You know what? Do you mind starting it? I did it, and then it said I had an error, so I don't know if it's my computer or if it's me. That one time where I had you for a second on your phone, I think.
Yeah.
It like shut me off because it said there's an error, and I had to reboot, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
I can do it. That's fine. I'll invite Mackenzie. I'll just send it to your BYUI email.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
I'll send the link to your BYUI. That seems to be the best way to get. I don't know why, but okay. All right. See you in a sec. Bye.
All right.
All right. So Jen.
Yes.
You and I have to come up with our negotiating plan on what we want to negotiate for.
Yes.
So we're going to give Keenan and his group a few minutes to go over their plan.
Okay.
So have you looked at it at all?
Yeah, I was just able to go over, Brooke, she wrote up a synopsis of the plan.
Okay.
And her summary basically just says that it needs to provide a safe working environment with reasonable wages and job security.
Okay.
And if the contract cannot be met in the terms, then we have to inform the members of your team to vote against the contract and go on strike. because a strike is better than eroding the benefits of your members.
Okay.
I think that sounds realistic. I mean, I think they're entitled to reasonable wages. And
Well, right. Okay. So we need to kind of talk about this a little bit. So
yeah,
in 1983, minimum wage was only like $4.
you're okay.
Okay. Or $5. I mean, it was not.
Yeah.
I worked in 1983, and it wasn't like. So these people that are making $10 an hour are making double minimum wage.
Okay.
So, and I'm not saying that this is wrong, and I'm not trying to say, but as far as the union goes,
Yeah.
I don't know that much about unions. So in 1983, so there were some things that were great. So we don't have a permanent working agreement anymore. So when they did their restructuring, they got rid of the permanent working, and so now there's just a 7-year contract. So every 7 years, the contract has to be renewed. So the incentive system was eliminated, and management was granted full control over work rules, and so workers can't choose, how they produce their stuff. So, but there is still a 52-week layoff notice. They have to give you 52 weeks notice before they lay you off.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna lay off, but you have 52 weeks to find a new job.
I like that.
So laid off workers are guaranteed rights to first refusal for job openings if a job opens back up that they are qualified for. And a no strike agreement was put in place for the life of the contract. So 3 years after the new plant was fully functional.
Oh, so they can't go on strike anyways.
Well, up to 3 years after so they can strike. So in 1985, they can strike. So we're right now we're negotiating for 1983.
Okay.
So in our contract there was a Me Too clause. So the clause pegged Baxter wages and benefits to those of the other top 5 consumer food processing companies. It specified that if 3 or more of the 5 industry leaders change their wages or benefits, the union will identify the 3 companies whose provisions it most prefers, and Baxter will pay the average wage or benefit provided by the 3 companies. Okay, so what's happened is the top 5 producers have dropped their wage.
Okay.
Okay, so they're saying that they should be able to drop our wages.
Okay.
So because the base wage was set at $10.69, but now they're saying because firm A is $9, firm B is $8, firm C is $8.25, firm D is $8.75, and firm E is $6 to $7 an hour, which is almost. I mean, it's still like $1 above minimum wage, at least. So.
How much does that average worker make? Are they making $10 an hour, or are they making more like $5?
Well, so for our company, the base wage is $10.69.
Oh, okay.
But the base of the other top company producers are $9, $8, $8.25, and $8.75.
Oh, okay.
So they're so they're saying, so the company's saying they need to reduce our wages.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Oh. I don't like that.
Yeah. But they're, so.
But are we producing?
Yes, we're producing, and they are making money.
Because Brooke was saying that there's been like a where is it? Hold on. There's been a recent increase in sales and net earnings, and the surplus should be shared with the workers who have been sacrificing for the success of the company.
Oh yeah. Well, and it should. It should. But the problem is stock, even though we've been making money, stock prices have been going down. So that's another thing you have to look at. And that's another thing that the company is looking at. And I'm just saying that when I go in, well, when Keenan comes in, we need to be prepared to listen to what he has to say, because I'm sure he's got a whole list of things. I would prefer, so what are we most not willing to give up?
Well, I don't know. I think that there's, because there's, like she was mentioning, there's been a lot of injuries on the plant too, and
Right.
This could be due to the fact that the management is telling them how to do everything, maybe, or also all the new hires and the people that have been working there for so long getting laid off. And so maybe the lack of job security is causing all these injuries, or maybe it's the lack of not being able to control their, or not having enough control over their work. But I mean, I think that management should have a say in how they do stuff, because there needs to be a standardized procedure.
Right.
People can't just be doing things however they want, because that can create a lot of seen at doohickeys.
Yeah.
But sometimes, management needs to be open to new, better ways of doing things that might be more efficient than other ways. So that's kind of a hard one.
Well, so if we don't agree to it,
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't agree to what they come back to us at, they'll go to arbitration. And
what does that mean?
The arbitration means that Baxter would go to arbitration requesting the Me Too clause from the 1978 contract be invoked to reduce wages. So this means they would go to an outside source and have them say yay or nay on whether they can reduce our wages.
Oh.
So we can either, I mean, I hate to see us, I'd hate to see us lose our jobs. But, I mean, we've been making a lot of money, a lot more than the national average for years.
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, we've taken a pay cut but they brought the plant to us. We didn't have to relocate. So I mean, they made some concessions for us, but so it says that you fear that if Baxter's management does not begin to see reason on the wage issue, the workers will soon be asked to accept major concessions in order to protect their jobs and the union status of the plant. This is beginning to happen across the country and has to stop somewhere, or workers will lose everything they've been struggling for.
That kind of seems like, what's the point of having a union if they're just gonna do that anyway?
Well, and I don't know, so I don't understand. I mean, I realize we're the union representative for our company, but I don't know why they aren't sending somebody from the AFL-CIO to help us negotiate,
Yeah.
right?
Do we have a lawyer?
Yeah, where's our lawyer? I mean, anyway, so this is what we're supposed to be asking for. It says, rather than accepting wage reductions, you have notified management that it is time for Baxter to reward your members for the sacrifices they have made during the building and startup of a new plant. The new plant is running profitably due to their loyalty and hard work. Though the new plant is technologically advanced, the workers are working harder than ever before, and you feel they should be rewarded for their efforts. They've been making the same basic rate of $10.69 an hour since 1978, so no raises since 1978.
And they want to lower it?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds ridiculous. I think that the least they could do is just pay them the same amount of money.
Right.
And not try to fire them all. It's profitable because they're there.
Right.
I don't see why I don't know. I don't see why they can't just pay them the same amount of money and give them job security and a safe working environment. I think that's completely reasonable.
Yeah, it is. I think it is reasonable. I think it's reasonable for us to ask for, for the workers to be rewarded.
Yeah.
But
at least acknowledged.
Acknowledged. It's the 1985 contract dispute that's going to be the issue. So,
okay.
Just so you know.
Okay.
When we talk about it, it'll be, I'm afraid that we may have to suck it up this time. But I don't know what the union does. I don't know if they supplement your wages while you're on strike. I mean, I don't know if that's what they do.
I have no idea. I've never
okay, apparently this is Ian calling me. Hang on. Hello? Yeah. Hey. Oh. I'm sorry. Uh-huh.
Mm.
Well, you know, we haven't had any pay increases since 1978. And, you know, we don't know what your projections are. I mean, we see what you're making. You're making money. And we feel like we worked really hard and we should be able to receive, you know, a portion of that. We should be able to not have our wages decrease, but we should be able to have our wages either increased or get a bonus. You know, you should be willing to share some wealth with those of us that have stuck with you through, you know, building a new building. And I realize that you guys picked to stay where we were, and we appreciate that. So we didn't have to relocate. And that's why we were willing to stick it out. And, you know, we lost all our incentives. You know, that was, you know, in 1978, we lost all the incentives. You know, so some of us have already had taken a pay cut. You know, and so for us to continually be taking a pay cut, I don't know if I can go back to them and say, you know, we need to take another pay cut. I don't know, you know, some of these people live paycheck to paycheck. I just don't know if I can go back and say, well, the company says, you know. So, would you be willing to give everybody at the, I can't even think of the name of the plant.
I don't know either.
Yeah, Deloitte. Would you be willing? Okay, so how about this? What if we all take a pay cut, but we all get a Christmas bonus of like $500?
That's not good. That sounds stupid. I'm sorry. You know what I was thinking though? What if new hires get hired cheaper and we get paid the same? Like, new hires don't get the same base pay. What if the base pay goes down, but we just still get the same? Like, the people that are currently working don't get a pay cut, and they don't get to fire us just because of that.
Right. Okay. All right. So what if you, so I realize in 1983 that is quite a bit of money. So what if, because I'm thinking nowadays the $500 doesn't buy anything, but okay. So back in 1985 when, you know, I had my first baby for $1,000. Okay, let's go ahead and say, what if, well, in 1983 I was, you know, in college the first time. How about, and I made $4 an hour. So let's go with, how about if we agreed to the $9 and you give us like $250, just our plant, as a bonus for loyalty and for sticking with you, you know, through the whole chain, all the changes. $9. But all new hires have to come in at $9. Or no, how about if you make all new hires to our plant come in at $8 to train, and then once they've been there for 6 months, they can be bumped up to $9.
$500 in 1983 was worth $1,211 today.
That's a pencil and paper because it's 1983. Okay. Okay. And all new hires start at 8? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 Oh, no, that sounds great. Okay. Okay. All right, and I will report it to my team, and we'll meet again for 1985. Okay, we'll see you in the 1985. So are you going to join my hangout? Are you guys going to join our hangout at that point? Okay. Okay. Okay, all right, thanks. Bye. Huh?
How'd it go?
Oh, well, no, it's got plenty. Well, okay, so the bad news, we are taking a pay decrease.
Okay.
But we're only losing 69 cents.
Yay!
Not the $2
Yay!
that we're supposed to lose. Okay?
That's awesome.
So, and we are getting a $100 bonus for loyalty.
Awesome.
So, I mean, it's not the 500, but I was really ready to negotiate that because I was like, if you give somebody a little bit saying, hey, thanks so much, we appreciate it. I think that they're going to be happy. Anybody new comes in at the average, which is 867. And then once they get through training, so 3 months or whatever, they'll go to $9 an hour.
You want to know how much $1.40 is worth?
Yeah.
So just, I'm not even using inflation, just $1.40 at 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Is $2,912. We totally won.
We did. We did.
We totally did.
So, I have to tell you, though, I don't think we're winning next time.
Oh.
Okay,
Sorry.
so now we're in 1985.
Okay, I didn't get anything on that one.
That's okay. That's okay. So 1985. So it's July 1985, and it's exactly 1 month prior to the expiration of our contract.
Okay.
So in our 1983 negotiations, our wages were renegotiated to $10 an hour. Okay. So, but since our last negotiation, relations between labor and management at the Deloitte plant have been increasingly acrimonious. Preliminary negotiations have produced no movement on either side's part, with little evidence that an agreement will be reached soon. Both sides publicly acknowledge the likelihood of a strike when the current contract expires in August. You and the rest of the local 190 leadership have been vocal and clear about your no concession stance. You have begun to prepare for a strike by getting finances in place and hiring a New York City public relations firm to tell 190's side of the story. In a show of no faith, management recently purchased $80,000 worth of barbed wire to circle the packing house, claiming it was needed to keep the workers safe. Part of the current tension is due to specific situation in Deloitte, but is probably attributed to the climate of labor relations in general throughout the nation. Industrial relations are in turmoil. Some have gone so far as to claim that this era will see the end of organized labor in the United States. You fear that they may be right, but hope that Local 190 may be able to stem the rising tide against unions across the country. On May 31st, 1985, Baxter Management announced that if the company and the Local 190 have not come to an agreement by the expiration date of the current contract, it will terminate the current contract, and any employer in the United States, is that right? Yep, has the right to terminate a contract when it expires, but few do so because of the negative impact on bargaining and the likelihood that such a move would precipitate a strike. Instead, most companies continue to honor the previous contract during contract negotiations. During the early 1980s, with its high unemployment and negative legal climate for labor, many unions have been reticent to strike, and companies are beginning to terminate contracts during bargaining whenever they perceive an advantage in doing so. Baxter's termination of the contract would have... Huh? So Baxter's termination of the contract would have three very important and very negative effects on Local 190. If they terminate the contract, the 52-week layoff notice would be gone. And management could give layoff notices effective at the date of notice. So here's your pink slip, goodbye. So no 52 weeks to prepare, but laid off workers could lose the right of first refusal on any new jobs. So if a new job came up, they wouldn't be called back if they were laid off. And wages could be set at any rate determined by management. So instead of getting our $10 an hour that we've been getting, we won't get anything. I mean, they could drop it down to minimum wage, $5 an hour. So by law, if management terminates the contract, 190 can choose to either strike or work under the conditions specified in management's final offer before the contract deadline. If you strike, Baxter can legally hire replacement workers. Hey, Keenan.
Hey.
Okay. So
that was fun.
Oh no, I lost Jen.
Oh.
Oh well. Okay. Keenan. You want to negotiate?
I guess it's just us.
Alrighty.
I told the others to come in on this one, so we could all get on and get the negotiations right and contract and whatnot.
Right.
So we'll give them a minute because I think Lexi was gonna post.
Oh, here's Lexi. Okay.
Oh,
hey, Lexi. I'm gonna be ganged up on.
Hey.
All right.
I'm gonna post that right now to the thing. So, oh, I gotta think. What's our group number? 7?
Yeah, we're 7.
Thank you. I cannot think tonight. Like what?
I am really worried about this negotiation.
Really?
Yeah. Because there's some things I really don't want to see the workers lose, but
right.
Hey, Jen.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
That's right.
We're going to give Mackenzie just a minute to try to join us as well.
Yeah. If not, we can just shoot her.
Did you want to send her the link again?
Yeah, I can do that.
Recorded. You make sure it actually did it right. No. Ugh. It didn't do it right.
Oh no, you may have to walk me through it.
Okay. It's okay. I'll figure it out. I can do this. Okay, Hangouts. Where's Brooke when we need her?
Right.
Sorry, I just... Where's Brooke when we need her? Alright, I have to tell my family that they can't go quite yet. They're all getting in the van and... 1 second.
Sure, yeah.
No, oh, you know what? Maybe Mackenzie...
Is it 9:30 already?
It's getting close.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close. We might almost.
Hey, sweetheart. Yeah. I've got a couple more minutes. But I've got to be on. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, sweetheart. I love you.
Are we going for ice cream?
What?
Are we going for ice cream?
For ice cream? What?
You said you were getting in the van. I thought we were all going for ice cream.
Oh, well, that would be fun, but okay, I don't know what I did. Okay, let's see. Oh, man, this is going to be fun.
All right, Keenan.
I appreciate you having this fun for us. So.
Oh, yeah, me too.
All right, so, oh, she's still here. Anyway, sorry, we thought you ducked out because you said 9:30. So was that? We didn't know if that was 9:30 Mountain Time or 9:30. Well, I guess what is that?
Eastern.
Okay.
All right.
So here we are. It's been a long year and a half, right? But here we are, 1985.
Okay.
We're doing all right. Things are going well. All right. I guess we rode out the storm, and we're still here. So,
Okay, great.
1985. Here we are, both the union and management, and we want to figure out. We want to bring our ideas to the negotiation table and figure this new contract out. Why don't we start with the union? If you guys want to tell us what's what your main concern is here, or what's
Okay.
most value to you.
So safe work environment, because apparently, we feel like 202 accidents per 100 people is not a very safe work environment. A reasonable income. We don't want to lose a lot of money. And job security. We're kind of worried about our jobs. You're hiring more people at the cheaper rate, and we're just afraid that those of us that have been here for a while are going to lose our jobs.
Okay. Let's see. Well, let's see if we can do to work with that. I've been talking a lot on behalf of management. Anybody else want to chime in? Either Lexi or Mackenzie.
No,
I'll chime
I'm
in
good.
if you can understand me.
Okay, go ahead.
So I guess our biggest concern was that with the industry going down so fast, we just want to be able to keep the plant afloat and not have to totally close the whole company. That was kind of our biggest thing that we talked about.
Okay.
So,
Right.
we want what's best for everyone, and what's best for everyone is definitely not, everyone not being unemployed.
Exactly. Right. So, I mean, I think I'm going to look up some statistics here, but we'll take a look at the safety environment. I think that should be a priority for everyone. So
Right.
we'll go ahead and look at those numbers and see what we can figure out here. I think another main concern of ours, again, as Lexi was saying, is that we're, despite riding out this storm, we're still trying to stay afloat. And the new hire process that we agreed on, to where they're going to be making this lower rate, was to compensate for what we were normally making, but we're not making anymore. Which went along with everything that we used to pay, and there you had the whole renegotiation in '83. One of the proposed ways that we were looking at, maintaining the workforce that we have right now, while being able to make enough money to keep it the way it is, was renegotiating our layoff notice. With regards to the layoff notice, we give you a 52-week, a year's notice, pretty much.
Right.
Which is understandable to a certain extent. And you guys, Mackenzie and Lexi, if you wanna help me out on this one, but I believe the 52-week layoff notice also comes with compensation, correct? We actually pay.
I'm pretty sure we do.
For that as well. So we were looking at negotiating that, and, making that one of our priorities here.
So what are you saying? How much time would you give people notice?
Well,
would you be willing to go half, 26 weeks?
From my perspective, that's something that we could do. we could go down to 26 weeks. That would be fair to me. Lexi, Mackenzie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
20 weeks is a long time, but yeah.
Well, you know, if you give people 26 weeks, they can look for another job. And I'm going to tell you, if they know they're going to get laid off, maybe they'll start looking, and it won't be the full 26 weeks. But that would be really great for us if you would at least give them 26 weeks.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think are we all in agreement on the management side? Do we have any other comments on that one?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and agree on that. We're going to reduce it to half the time. We're going to go 26 weeks on the layoff notice.
Okay.
Now let's address what you had brought up with regards to with regards to safe work environment.
Although I have to tell you, I'm supposed to vote for no concessions.
Shh, you're not supposed to mention that yet.
Well, you can do that, but I have to warn you, we've thrown $80,000 away worth,
I know. On barbed wire. Now tell me that's not a waste of money.
We're dug in.
Just trying to keep us out? For what? We know what's going on here.
Okay, so let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to go back to some of the
That's okay.
on here.
I didn't realize that I couldn't negotiate. But I'm still going to negotiate because I feel like I would rather have my workers work.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Apparently, I'm not a good union person.
No.
Well, you just know how to make a deal, right?
Hey, I am willing to make a deal because I don't know about you guys, but there is something about working that gives you a sense of worth.
Right.
When you work and you can provide for your family, and there are a few things that I won't concede on. But if you know you have a job and you can provide for your family, I think that's a bigger plus than striking.
Right. And yeah, I mean we've had good relations this whole time, and we are exemplary. We are we are what everybody look at.
Right.
So everybody should pat themselves on the back. Okay. So what do you want with regards to safe work environment? What are you seeing?
Well, so I think part of it is you're having inexperienced workers train inexperienced workers. I think that's part of the problem, is because you're laying off some of the employees that have been longer. Well, not laying off, but retiring with severance. Some of the employees that have been there long and know how to do stuff, and so you're losing some of that older knowledge.
That makes sense, actually, yeah.
I mean, so I think that if you would, maybe keep the older employees that have the knowledge about how to use the equipment, and let them train the younger employees. Make them be trainers. So that so we can cut down on some of the injuries, because a lot of it is from just inexperience and trying to cut corners.
Right. So how long have we been in this new factory now?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we can't strike. Well, yeah, because I think it was finished in 80. Was it finished in 80?
The new factory, right?
Yeah.
I thought the new factory was finished in 80,
Okay.
maybe 81.
Okay. Well, are there any proposals on the management side? I mean, it sounds like we want the more established employees to you know, train these new hires.
Well, we definitely want the more established, and maybe we could even talk about training incentive or something to kind of, you know, or do kind of like a little mentor program or.
Okay.
And I would agree to a mentor program where you train the trainer. You know, where you have an older established employee that trains somebody, you know, trains a whole bunch of people, and then they in turn, once they become proficient, you know, and pass like some certain criteria or levels.
Okay. Okay. So if we do this, we're going to have to create some sort of training wage then, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in the long run that will be worth it. I think we'll have less accidents. We'll have happier, you know, workers. That we won't have high turnover.
And I have to tell you, so if you have more people gone because they've been injured at work, your productivity goes down.
Yeah. So even though it will cut into our revenue, I think it will actually help our revenue in the long run.
Okay.
So, because remember we talked about having stuff be, you know, better training leads to higher productivity
And safety.
and safety. So
Right.
the more, you know.
So.
Okay.
So I have to duck out of this management meeting and negotiations.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I can't even anymore.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in there.
No problem. Okay. Just email me my doohickeys assignment
Okay.
if you're okay with that.
Keenan will.
Okay.
He's doing everything.
Hey, it's your turn, Keenan.
It is.
All right. See you guys.
Bye. Have a safe trip.
I put up on our on the post. I posted our other video, so we're good.
Oh, perfect.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Good night. Okay.
Okay, so I'm good with the whole training thing.
Okay.
I'm good with how we're going to do that. So let's see if we can just break it down really quickly and get this next one off the table. We've got if we take the last wage, let's say if we use 10 as an example, right?
Okay.
We use what, about 10? We'd say about 10.50 as a training wage, because that person's going to be with them for what, a matter of weeks or a week, depending on what the training is.
Right.
So we'll say a training wage at 10.50 an hour.
Okay.
For the duration of the training, and again, did we put a time limit on that training, or is that just going to be dependent on whatever their task is?
I think it's, well, I think that maybe there needs to be maybe a test of proficiency.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because I don't know if, you know, all the different areas of the plant. But say the sausage packing area. So if they show proficiency and they're able to, you know, do it like 3 days in a row with, you know, no waste, no spill, you know, no, you know,
Sure.
you know, and management is comfortable with the way they're handling it, then I think that, you know, it should be, let's say, at least a week to train, and then, you know, if management feels more training is necessary, it could be that person's not, maybe needs to move to a different machine.
Well, and that's why I think your proficiency, you know, almost like a test, you know,
Yeah.
your exam, right? So I think if we're specializing somebody in this, for me, that's fine. We can have the trainer have a 10.50 an hour training wage, and that wouldn't be I mean, I'll leave that up to the departments or the teams that are out there. If they want to dedicate someone to do this when they train somebody new, then great. If they want to pick somebody different every time, that's fine with me. I'll leave that up to them. But I think to nail this down, we've got training wage at 10.50 an hour for the week of specialized training for that one person who's also going to have to prove that they're proficient. If they're not, then I mean, they go back down to what their non-specialized position was, and that's it. But we don't want the wrong people in there.
Right.
We want to make sure we get the right people in there. And if we have guys who are already experienced doing it, then they can give the yes or no, and I no better than them and their own teams deciding that. So we'll go with that with regards to the training.
Okay.
Great.
Should we promote cross training?
I think so. I think that you should be able to cross train as well. I mean, because I'm sure some of the older employees probably know how to do several different jobs. I mean, I'm sure they haven't always stuffed sausages.
Well, yeah, and I think that's and that's kind of what this new factory gave us, because before everybody just did the same thing, but with the way that the factory's set up now and the efficiency of it, you have to know more than one job.
Right.
Already. So I mean, if somebody wants to cross train, I think we could. I think for me, it would be more. Again, I would rather leave that up to a departmental decision. With regards to cross training, I think for right now, what I want to focus on is the people who are already there, the more experienced people, getting doing the training and training the people in their specialized position.
Okay.
If somebody wants to cross over, that's fine with me, and that can be talked about between the two departments if there's an opening.
Okay.
But yeah, I think for right now, the training wage and the whole making sure that we reduce. I mean, the point of this is to make sure we reduce the amount of money we put into somebody being injured, or the time that we lose, the money we lose, and the actual worker that we lose. So I think this should help us reduce that.
Okay.
I'm all on board with that. So any other thoughts? I guess.
I also want to maybe ask about the rate of production.
The rate of production, okay.
I mean, so I just feel like we're trying to produce more than we have capacity for.
Okay.
So it seems like we're having to. I think that's another, issue, is that we are trying to do way too much. So let's say that the maximum amount the factory can produce of, and the only reason I'm saying stuffed sausage is because that's what they gave as a.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was until.
So they said stuffed sausage. So
yeah,
okay.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, into casings. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the only thing that I know about. So okay, so apparently that's where I work. It's the stuffed casing sausage place. But okay, so let's say your daily requirement, or the capacity for the factory, is 1,000. Okay, but the expectation is 1,200. Okay, so that's where you're trying to push too much product through in an unsafe amount of time. I think we need to cut back a little bit on what you're expecting productivity to be. I don't think we should be expecting people to produce more than what the more than what the factory is supposed to handle.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I can give an example of, like, in the semiconductor business, I know this much better. So if you overstart production, you're never, there's always something that's going to happen farther down the line, and you're going to get a bottleneck, and your production is going to fall. So I think that if we slowed it down a little bit so that it was safer, just
Right.
safer.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how you feel about that, but
Tell someone's not excited about it.
somebody has new puppies.
So, it's all right. No worries. So I can say that management would be management would be a little hesitant, and here's I'll kind of explain why. Number one,
Okay.
the factory that we created that has increased efficiency. We've heard some complaints here and there with regards to overworking, or in other words, being almost to a certain amount of micromanaging with regards to your time at different stations.
Right.
Where we have to really make sure. I mean, because these things work. That's the point of the new factory. These things work so well that we can compensate for loss by I guess from what you're saying, over increasing here. We don't want to create a bottleneck. But I think this would have to. I think we'd have to look at giving something if we're going to. If you'd have to look at giving something if we were going to take something here. I'm looking at some of the information that I got from higher management with regards to what they wanted to address. Let's see here. I don't want to attach it to. I don't want to attach it to pay. We've already addressed. We've already addressed the concern with safety. Possibly that that could be part of it. Let me see here. Oh, I think I'm dying at this point. Mackenzie, do you have anything to say?
No, I agree with everything that you're saying.
Okay. Well, I don't agree with slowing down.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's something that's kind of kept us afloat. But I'm trying to find some way to meet in the middle here. So.
Well, but you're willing to have trainers, so maybe that will be part of. We'll accept the extra training, and maybe that will help people be able to increase productivity. I mean, part of it is, accidents are keeping productivity down, as well as just not knowing how to do it. So I think that maybe that will. So I'm okay. What about work rules?
I've got this proposal. I mean, and this might work for both of us. Why don't we? We used to have an incentive program.
Okay.
Obviously, we can't keep it to the degree that we had it before. I mean, the whole point of cutting that was to saving the company.
Right.
But what if we revisited an incentive program? And the reason why I'm saying that is because, the complaints or the feedback that we're getting is, while it's out there and, regardless of what it is, it's always going to be loud to us, and the information that we're getting, it's still a small. It's still a minority of compared to the rest of the company. I think what I'm seeing is that the younger or the newer employees are having trouble keeping up more than it is the experienced employees that are having trouble. So if we were to put into place some, I don't want to say meager, but some sort of humble.
Small scale.
Program. Yeah, something. So yeah, and I don't want to diminish you guys, but a small piece of bread, something to throw out there. I think we would all see a couple things. Number one, we'd see, we would see everybody.
How about the team that meets their quota with no injuries for the month get like a $10 bonus?
Okay. I'm okay with that. What about you, Mackenzie?
I think that that's a great incentive that helps accomplish the goals that the management team has, and as well make sure that we're encouraging not only productivity, but that we're sending a message that we care about your safety, and that's important to us as well.
Okay. Great. You know what? I'm fine with that. We can go $10 incentive.
Okay.
Now, do we want to do that? Leave it to management to pinch pennies here, but do we want to do that on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, semi-annual basis?
Well, monthly, because, I realize that, sometimes accidents happen.
Okay.
But I think that a little bit of incentive is enough to keep people motivated to be safe.
Okay.
I mean, there are other things to motivate people, and don't get me wrong, but I think that, hey, you're doing a great job. Thanks so much for being safe. Thanks for so much for, staying on track, for, helping us meet our, production goals, and the goal should be, not super high, like people can't obtain them, right?
Okay.
They need to be attainable.
Sure. Okay.
I like the idea about setting up reporting, like an award for reporting an error.
Okay.
And that was like this week or last week's reading.
So how about this? This way we can award individually, well, not individually, but separately. So why don't we go a $10 monthly incentive, for every team with 0 incidents.
Okay.
And then a $10 monthly incentive for the team that I guess for the team that with the highest numbers, or that meets or exceeds their quota, that the highest team for that month.
Okay.
We'll get a $10. That way we're awarding those who are being safe everywhere, not just a specific team.
Okay.
Or individual, and then also doing a $10 monthly incentive on the specific team that has the highest productivity.
Okay. Can we go back to layoff for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know we agreed on the 26 weeks, and I was okay with that. But so your layoff list.
Uh-huh.
Can we do it by seniority so that the most senior people get laid off last?
That's something we definitely need to address. Our negotiations have been going great so far. So, I think it's for us to just sit there and I'll admit, to sit there and look at you guys, look at the employees as just numbers would not be. I guess you can say who we are, because we all live in the same town. We see each other. We're more than just co-workers.
Right.
And so those would be difficult decisions on either side. So we can. So here's what we can do, because I know there's that clause in the in our previous contracts where the older employees would get first refusal, I guess is what it's called, first refusal on on anything if they got laid off.
Right. Because when you hire back people, so if you laid people off and then you had to hire people, you have to ask those that are laid off to come back, because you don't have to train them, right? Because they're already trained.
Yeah. So here's the other side of that from our perspective, from a financial perspective. Being able to reduce everybody's wage has really saved us, has really helped us not have to continue the layoffs or even close down plants for that matter.
Right.
So I don't. I do want to still keep part of that clause in there, but I don't want it to be exclusive. I guess is what I'm saying. So where it used to be, here's what I'm proposing. 50% of the new positions be filled by that layoff list, where it used to be exclusively.
Okay.
But what I'm willing to do here is I'm willing to let union representation, be in on layoffs, right? So I think what we can do is at that point work together on agreeing on, if we did have to lay off, who those people would be or should be.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because our concern is that we don't want just all the new ones, because they're part of keeping the company afloat in more ways than one.
Right.
But we don't want it just to be everybody who's old. We don't want to keep giving them, dishing out extra money to convince them to go. So
right.
I think if we were both in on a list, if it came to that, then that would be something that that power would be something that we'd be willing to concede if we can cut down from exclusive, first refusal to 50% first refusal.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody else agree? Any other thoughts?
I'm okay with that, but I just want to point out that the senior employees are probably going to be the ones that are the most productive. And so just keep in mind that, if you're laying those ones off, then you're probably going to make less money.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I think it's
But Jen, actually, Jen, I think if they allow the union to go in with them and decide on who to lay off, then I think that if you lay off people that are not productive, I think that at least the union has a say in that matter. I think that might be okay. It might be better if we could at least have some say on who gets laid off.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely people who, think that they have a job just because they're in the union, and they're not making the company any better.
Right. That was just mostly my idea before he said the union thing.
Okay. Well, and it wouldn't be a complete loss, because, for those who get laid off, who hypothetically get laid off, because we don't have anything coming up anytime soon.
Right.
They would still, at least half of them would have first refusal should anything open back up.
Right.
So, while there'd still be that pampering of 26 weeks, and the compensation that comes with that, and the retirement package, or the package that comes with being laid off. They also still have there's also the chance that they may be requested to come back.
Right.
Or they would get first option. So I guess from a management perspective, I'm good with that.
Okay. As far as the union's concerned, we're happy that, we're glad that you didn't get completely away. The 26 weeks we feel like we can work with.
Okay. All right. You know what? That looks good from our perspective. I think we're meeting somewhere in the middle here. I'm hoping you guys feel the same way.
I think that with the additional increase of the $10.50 for training, I think that meets our wage requirements for sharing, because there's going to be plenty of opportunity for maybe different people to do training. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
we won't strike.
Oh, good. We'll see how much money we get back on our barbed wire.
But I have to. So okay. So now that we're done with our little meeting, we strike.
Really? It says so. Did you read the second part then?
Yeah.
Ah, I did not know that. Man, we were doing good for so long.
Well, we're not going to. We're really not going to. I mean, I'm happy with what we did, what we were able to negotiate, and I feel like it's been very fair.
Yeah.
I mean, given the climate that was happening in the 1980s, I mean, I think that it was very fair. I mean, I worked for a company that went out of business.
Yeah.
So, just done, gone, shut the door, goodbye.
Well, and I think in that time, I mean, everybody was. I mean, labor unions were they were on the outs for the most part. That was the idea, or that's what it seemed like was going on. I mean, you had a lot of gosh, what was it, what was the big one going on at that time? It was air traffic controllers, right?
Yeah.
They had that huge back and forth that was going on. So yeah, that's interesting. I would that since you said that, I'm not surprised to hear that, because I mean, if you're in a labor union at that time, you're like, wow, we're going away. We got to make a statement somehow. We got to show that we're still here and we're still alive. So
and I realize as a union but that's a union mentality. That's but that's not for the employee mentality. Right. I mean, so I realize that there's the business mentality, and then there's the like management mentality, business mentality, and then there's the union.
Right.
But I really think that the person that loses out, the worker.
Yeah.
Right. The employee.
Yeah.
So
just really quickly, I had just a really quick story, and then we'll move on here. Yeah, it just the idea of a union. The idea of a union is good. I mean, they're supposed to represent you. But I think the people who are running some of the unions these days aren't there representing the actual employee. They actually kind of back them into a corner and force them to be there. My dad was a pipe fitter, at an oil refinery.
Yeah.
And he worked there through the late 70s, early 80s. And he grew up. His dad was this big exec, right? And so he grew up understanding the whole management side of it. And so he refused to join the union.
Yeah.
And he refused to join it for years until he was the only worker there not unionized. And they gave him the hardest time about it, and he wouldn't cave. And then one day he made a mistake, and management wanted to call him in, and they were going to give him we're going to give you some time off to think about if you really want to work here.
Right.
Beach. And at that point, there was no choice, right? The union came up and said, well, you know what? This is what we're here for. And he said, yeah, I guess that's why you guys are actually here. And so at the very end of the day, and this is I'd say this is halfway through his career there, he finally joined up. But it was, he's got I want to say over 26 years. I want to say 27 or 28 years there. But it took halfway through that time before he finally, I guess, to a certain extent, caved because of this situation. But it was, I guess, a good situation. It wasn't like he actually got bullied into a corner. He just got, wanted to make sure that he was protected somehow, just in case they were deciding to do something. So, anyway, yeah, that was kind of the way it was. But anyway, well, thank you guys for being a part of this. This was crazy.
It was.
The amount of time we had to get it done in, the crazy going back and forth and everything.
Right.
I'm going to go really quickly here, really 2-minute feedback session. Okay. Anything that you think we could have done better? Anything I could have done better?
I think this was a hard one to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that it really gave us enough guidelines. Does that make sense? I mean, this was a really hard week to have to be the leader. The good news is you're done.
I was going to say thank you. I appreciate that.
So the good news is you're done. Now all you have to do next week is worry about the doohickeys, and I promise to get all my stuff in. So I think this was just a hard one to do. I think that I thought for what it was, I thought it went well. Considering we had to do 2 sessions and come back and go back and forth. So
Right.
And
right.
we did it way earlier than we normally do, so we did it
Yeah.
several days ahead, so that's good.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but it was good. You pulled it off.
Yeah. We'll see.
okay, doohickeys.
Yes. So we have to figure out what the problems that we're addressing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think doohickey should have a union.
Yeah.
No.
So we'll just go from an organization's perspective, right? Because I mean, this is human resources. So.
Right. So I mean, what are we going to do? Are we going to maybe come up with ways so they don't have to unionize? Do we like have like
they mentioned that they were mentioning something about thinking about unionizing.
Yeah. So do we make a committee that they can send their grievances to, so that they, management knows and they can have ways to deal with it?
Maybe if we do that and focus on safety and what was one of the other things that we were worried about?
Layoffs. So maybe we have like what were we were negotiating layoffs and hiring procedures, work rules, wages, and maybe that's what we need to do, an incentive program. Maybe we need to come up with, let's have like
a negotiation committee?
A negotiation committee.
Some sort of committee and representation so they don't have to unionize. So they
right.
A complaint committee?
That's our problem.
A what?
Right?
And so like a negotiation committee and then a complaint committee and then like a compliance person that like oversees that it gets done right, or
Okay.
like at the hospital there's like a compliance coordinator and like a compliance supervisor and a compliance whatever, and they're like a group of themselves and they make sure that the other departments are compliant with the quality whatever program.
Right.
I work at a hospital.
So a compliance person, a negotiation committee,
and like a complaint, either a complaint person, like a specific person that they give complaints to, or a committee. Well, the HR would kind of be like that.
Well, I know, but I think that maybe the HR could head up a committee so we could have an HR committee for.
So like an employee, because maybe employees aren't comfortable going to HR or to management, so maybe another, like a group of employees that is a committee that
meets with HR.
Complaints.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So that's
3.
I mean, one more.
Got any ideas, Mackenzie?
Sorry, my computer has some lag. Are we talking about solutions to preventing a union?
Yeah.
Yes, for doohickeys.
Okay. And we're talking about different committees. I had an idea and it just ran out of my brain. Let me think for a minute and see if I can catch it again.
So is the problem preventing a union at doohickeys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we gonna give that to Alexis because she's not here?
Yeah, let's get.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can do that if you need me to. I don't care, but I mean, I just think that it would be so much better if doohickeys didn't have a union, and it would be better for the employees because a part of your pay has to go
to the union. Yeah.
To the union. Now, granted, you know they do give you benefits. I mean, there's some benefits from that, but I really think that if they're only making $8.50 an hour, there's not enough money to pay union dues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I really think from their standpoint, from the employee standpoint, and I have to tell you, I had anti-union training.
Wow.
Maybe you should do the problem then, because you're all anti-union already.
I am anti-union, but I have to tell you because there was I work in food service, and the union was trying to come into one of our units for the district I'm in, and so then all the administrative assistants had to go through union training on how to,
So
to
what
avoid
if
it. To avoid it.
another solution could be
Anti-union training.
Anti-union training. Yes.
That could totally be one.
Well, I mean, so if you pointed out the fact that the union doesn't always have your best interest, right? Sometimes the union is trying to make a statement, and I think that's so. I think Union 190, Local 190 was actually I think they, like the person I was supposed to be, wanted to help the employees.
Right.
But I think the union itself was really concerned about staying a union.
Yeah, more than anything at that point. So.
Yeah, they wanted to strike. I mean, they really did. They were getting people all rounded up to give them publicity, and so that's coming from the money that I'm paying them to help me keep my job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I've seen that from people I know who work and are have to be affiliate. I guess have to be, but it's always assumed that they're going to be affiliated with a certain union, and then all of a sudden that certain union is providing money to a political cause that they don't agree with.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen that with a few of my friends who have they've had to create their own sort of organization within the union to kind of combat that and allow them to use the money where they want it used if the union's not going to use it accordingly. But anyway,
that's what I was gonna suggest is like an employee sponsor program, like a union rep would be or should be. So like somebody that sponsors the employee's best interests and acts like an employee rep.
So an employee rep.
Yeah.
Or sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so who wants to do that one?
I can.
Okay, so Mackenzie. Okay, HR committee for the complaints.
I'll do it.
Okay. All right, a negotiation committee. Or compliance person.
I'll do the compliance one.
Okay. All right, and so Lexi will do negotiation committee.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So you just make sure get the email out to everybody.
I will get the email out to everybody.
Sitting this one out. So, all right, I think that's everything.
Okay.
Awesome.
Can't believe we did it.
Woohoo! Okay, so we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Do you know how to post this?
I am going to try my best.
Okay.
So, I'll have it, and it's going to be in my YouTube page. So, hopefully, I'll be able to figure out how to post it. I may have to Google how to do it.
I would just copy the link up there on the top of the window.
Oh, the Hangout one?
Yeah, and then just paste it into the what's new on the Google Plus community page, and then just hit enter. And I would just say that's good. I don't really care.
Okay. Well, I'll try that, and then if that doesn't work.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, then I'll try something else. But we are going to stop broadcasting.
Awesome.